If you want to pivot into a new career without getting a new degree, new certification, etc., this video is for you. Let's get into it. I hear a lot of people talking about things are unfair. It's unfair that someone got the job. It's unfair that, they've applied for 500 jobs and they haven't gotten a job yet. It's unfair that this person got a promotion. So on, so on, so on, so forth. Now, bear with me. In this video, let's say 10 minutes of your time, I want to talk about fairness and cheating and knowledge, right? And how that can land you the job of your quote unquote dreams, the aligned job, and whatever that means for you, right? Whether that's a higher salary, whether that's remote, whether that's a boss or a company that isn't drive you crazy, whatever that might mean. I want to get into it. So let's get into it. People call things unfair when they don't understand the rules. And it's not necessarily cheating, it's literacy. People confuse being uninformed with being disadvantaged. And the truth is, those who bother to read the rules or question if there are rules tend to win quietly while others complain loudly, right? And if you've ever been in a game or if you've ever done something and everyone is up in arms about something and you're like, okay, but I literally just followed the rules, you might understand what I'm saying, right? And an example of this is Monopoly. So in Monopoly, the whole point of the game is that you are able to buy property, get all this money, and whoever has the most money wins, right? And in Monopoly, there's also a rule that says you can borrow money up front, right? So if you read the rules, you will know this. You can borrow money up front. So what happens when you borrow money up front? If I had an extra million up front, I could go straight to, I haven't played Monopoly in so long, what park or Broadway, whatever the thing is. And you know what I could do? You know what I could do? I could buy property. And guess what happens when you land on my property? You got to pay me cash. So eventually, while it's taking y'all 1 or 2 rounds on the board to get property and a few goes and lucky chances or chess hunts, y'all, if you remember the game, you know what I'm talking about. It might take you a few of these for you to be successful, but for me, I did it even before the game started, and now y'all owe me money, and now I'm wealthy. Bam, I win the game, right? And that is kind of the rules we see elsewhere. So part of my 9 to 5 is teaching people how to use AI. And one of the icebreakers I use is a reverse engineering of an AI generated image. So what I do is I ask people coming into the Zoom room or the actual room, whatever, I'm like, take a piece of paper and write down the prompts you think created this image. Now, there's several ways to go about doing this. You can either sit down and write the prompt. You can take that you can take that image, put it into ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever, and say, hey, can you write the prompt that you believe was used to create this image, right? And every time I do this, some people are like, oh my God, the people who, and also some background. Usually I'm doing this in a Google slide, so everyone is inputting their prompts so everyone can see it. It's part of the exercise because the whole point is to teach people the different ways of writing prompts, but that's not what this video is. So once we're done and we're reading through it, some people get really mad because they're like, oh my gosh, they cheated, it's unfair. Did they cheat or did they understand how to use AI? Do they understand that you can reverse engineer using AI and get the same job done, right? They understood the rules and they applied the knowledge. So I say all this to say the Monopoly example and the AI example to say mastery doesn't come from shortcuts. It comes from understanding the system deeply enough to bend it. Once you know the rules, you can bend it, right? And the same principle applies to career pivoting, right? Because when you know something from another industry, it gives you leverage in a new one. And this is why I say you don't necessarily need to get another certification, another degree, if you understand things really, really well. Because essentially, when you understand the rules of one game, you can often dominate another. And this might look like an unfair advantage to someone else on the outside, but it's often someone that's pivoting just smartly. And that's what I work with my clients on. How do you pivot smartly with the knowledge you already have? And I pull from people like Hendrix of Zone of Genius. I pull from Naval of specific knowledge, because if you understand your knowledge, you can easily pivot and you can stand out in a crowded job market. That's what I work with my clients on, right? Because you're applying your knowledge from one domain to another. And I'm gonna give you 4 examples, very popular examples of this. The first one is Henry Ford. So Henry Ford applied the assembly line principle from Literally, he used to be a watchmaker, and then he also studied the meat packing industry. And in both of those industries, he realized that to assemble something really quickly, you need an assembly line. So even though Henry Ford did not invent cars, we know Henry Ford, aka Ford Cars, that's how we attach him, right? Before cars, Ford worked as an engineer for the Edison company, right? He was obsessed with mechanical precision, a mindset he borrowed from the watchmaking and industrial machinery, right? And he applied that watchmaking concept to interchangeable parts and assembly line manufacturing, which originated in meatpacking plants and textile mills, to car production. And what resulted, taking his previous skill set in watchmaking, his understanding of how people pack meat, right? Anyone read Upton Sinclair? Yeah. How people pack meat, that then resulted in the Model T. He didn't invent the car, he reinvented how it was made, collapsing production and cost, and therefore reshaping the entire labor economy. And also then now becoming known as the car guy, Ford. Right. So that's one example of something really, really well. You can show an example of someone else. And if you watched yesterday's video, we talk about how companies are hiring for people who can save them money or make them money. So you're coming with your specific knowledge, your zone of genius, and you're saying, hey, from what I know from this really, really well, and I obviously have evidence here because I've been doing, I don't know, insurance for the past 10 years. If you hire me for here, I will bring the same mindset and the same structure, and we can save you money. Because as I just said, Henry Ford, he collapsed costs and reshaped the entire labor economy because things were moving quicker, parts were moving quicker. Are you with me? If you're with me, right in the chat. The second person I want to mention is Coco Chanel. We know Chanel for bags, we know Chanel for luxury, perfume, all that good stuff. What Coco Chanel did was she began as a hat maker. She was making hat. Oh, I took off my hat. She was a hat maker. And when she started applying minimalism, when she started applying minimalism, I can't say the word, from menswear tailoring into women's clothing, people called it unladylike. They're like, why would you bring men's clothing or men's fashion into women's fashion? However, that minimalism became the foundation of modern luxury fashion, right? When we think about high fashion luxury, we think minimal. We think Chanel is clean cut, right? She took menswear tailoring and brought it to modern women's fashion. So that's the second example. So we went from Henry Ford, then we did Coco Chanel. Number three is George Washington Carver. And George Washington Carver trained as a botanist and an agricultural scientist, right? And then he pivoted his knowledge of plants and chemistry into agricultural innovation, like crop rotation methods and alternative products from peanuts and sweet potatoes, right? And this boosted the southern agriculture, created economic opportunities for Black farmers, and shifted industrial uses for crops. And obviously today we have peanut butter and all these other things that we know. Again, he used his previous knowledge to bring it to this new space and made them money, saved them money. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. You can come from one industry to another industry, and you don't need to have all these accolades in the new industry. But what you do need to know is you need to know your industry so well and know how your industry system works and bring that to a new industry and say that in the content that you're writing, in the resume, in the interview, and say, hey, because I know this so well and you see my receipts, I'm going to bring it here and you're going to be successful. You're going to save money, save time, save costs, etc. Now, my fourth example is Steve Jobs. So Steve Jobs, all of us know he dropped out of college. When he dropped out, he took a calligraphy class, right? So he learned how to write real pretty, right? And that calligraphy I'm struggling today, y'all. He was learning about fonts, spacing, and the aesthetics of written language, completely unrelated to tech. Side note, when I was a resident assistant in college, I would have one of my residents. She had beautiful calligraphy. I would have her do my bulletin boards for me because if she just wrote really big calligraphy on the board, it took like half the space and it was pretty and like that was that. Anyway, what we talk about? Steve Jobs, calligraphy classes, learned how to write beautifully, all that stuff. Completely unrelated to tech. But he later fused that artistry with computer science, right? Giving us the Mac, right? So the first computer was beautifully typography and intuitive design. right? And the result of that was design thinking as a business principle. Design thinking is such a major foundation to so much of how a lot of us work these days and how we think, right? So every app, every phone interface, everything you touch owes something to that leap from calligraphy to tech to the Macintosh, aka the Mac, and everything else we now have, right? So innovation isn't just about one product, right? It ripples across industry. So not only do you figure something out in your industry, you bring it to another industry, but what also happens, a third thing that happens, is that it spawns new jobs and opportunities, right? People are fearing new tech, aka AI, and their fearing is going to replace them, is going to take their jobs, etc., right? And I would say rather than like fearing the AI, lean into it, right? Learn the rules and see how your existing knowledge can translate or amplify, right? Steve Jobs didn't just change computing, he shaped marketing, user experience, and design as a discipline, creating careers that didn't exist before. And therefore, AI and all these things are going to create careers that didn't exist. And they're going to be created in 5, 10 years. And that's not something to be scared about. But what you can do is that what you're doing today, get really, really good at it, especially if you like it. That's why I talk a lot about curiosity. Lean into your curiosity because when you do that, then you're able to really ask questions and be innovative and learn the thing. Learn how the meat packing industry works. Learn how the watchmaking, learn men's tailoring. You understand? You get? So once you understand that and you bring that over and you use also new technology, aka AI, you will always be ready for the next new wave of jobs, right? So, in short, in summary, innovation creates new industries, new roles, new ways of working, right? Instead of fearing tech or change, lean in, learn the rules, and explore how your knowledge can transfer. If you need help with this, obviously, I'm happy to help you through coaching. I have a book that I'll also link so you can just read through. It has step by step of what you can do to walk you through as well. Your pivoting ability plus understanding the rules of the game equals opportunity, equals optionality, equals you will always be able to put food on your plate, a roof over your head, and even more, right? You can live in abundance. So rather than calling things unfair, call it opportunity, right? Read the rules, pivot strategically, and use your knowledge as leverage. What looks like cheating is often just a cross pollination of expertise. And the best innovators are bilingual, trilingual, polyglots in industries. And you are too. So let's work together, tap that in, and figure out what your languages are so you will never have to stress about job searching again. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Drop your comments in the comment section. And obviously, read the description for all the different links for either if you want to get the book or you want to work one on one. All right, bye.